My dad called me a dropout at Thanksgiving, loud enough for the whole table to laugh. I didn't argue, I just sat down. Minutes later, my sister's new husband realized I was the man who signed his paychecks. I grew up in a house where grades were a religion. My father was a professor who treated dinner like an oral exam. My mother was a surgeon who expected perfection even after 16-hour shifts. My sister collected straight A's and my brother collected trophies. I struggled to sit still. Teachers said I was bright, but couldn't focus. A psychologist said ADHD. My dad said, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're lazy." He refused meds. He refused accommodations. So every night became an interrogation, and every wrong answer became proof I didn't belong. Computers were the only place my brain stayed quiet. I taught myself to code. I built little tools to organize my thoughts. When I showed my dad one of them, hoping for approval, he barely looked up. "If you worked that hard in algebra," he said, "you wouldn't be failing." I got into a state university and tried to play the game. The core classes dragged me under, and I ended up on academic probation. Then I joined a hackathon on a whim. 48 hours later, I built a security system that flagged breaches in real time. For once, adults didn't see a problem. They saw an answer. I dropped out. On the phone, my dad's voice went ice cold. "Finish school or don't call yourself a Reed." So I stopped calling. I couch surfed and worked whatever jobs I could get. Between shifts, I coded until midnight. A mentor took a chance on me. I failed once, learned fast, and built again. This time it stuck. 7 years later, I ran a security company with hundreds of employees. I kept a low profile. I went by JR and let the work speak. Then my mom invited me to Thanksgiving and said, "Your sister is bringing her husband. He's very successful." That word landed like it always did. Successful. The only currency my parents understood. I showed up anyway. I arrived late because an emergency call ran long. I stepped into the dining room, still shrugging off my coat. My dad looked up and said, "Didn't know they let dropouts in here." A few relatives chuckled. My mom smiled like she was swallowing glass. I hung my coat and sat at the far end. They spent dinner bragging about grants, promotions, and real careers. When they remembered me, it was with pity dressed up as advice. "So you still do computers?" my mom asked. "Cybersecurity," I said. My uncle leaned in. "My friend can get you entry-level IT, benefits and all." I nodded and kept eating. After dessert, my sister's husband slid into the seat across from me. He leaned forward, curious. "We use Quantum Shield at work," he said. "CEO's a private guy named JR, but the system's unreal." I kept my face neutral. "Sounds solid." He asked where I worked and I said, "Quantum Shield." He blinked, like his brain hit a wall. Then he stared at me, reading my face for answers. After that, he spoke too loud, almost choking on it. He asked, "Wait, you're my CEO?" The room went dead quiet, like someone killed the music. Next, forks hovered over plates, frozen mid-bite. Then my dad's wine glass stopped halfway to his lips. Finally, I said, calm, "Yeah, I'm JR." Silence cracked into chaos. Suddenly, everyone remembered reading about my company. My brother started talking about synergies like we were on a call. My uncle stopped offering pity jobs and started asking about opportunities. My dad's voice flipped from contempt to pride in one breath. "We always knew you had potential," he said. I looked right at him. "No, you didn't." My parents pulled me aside like I'd tricked them. My dad demanded why I never told them. My mom teared up and said she'd been worried. I asked, "Would it have changed how you treated me or just what you think I'm worth?" I left early. The next morning, my assistant showed me a flood of messages from relatives who suddenly found my email. 2 days later, my father showed up at my office unannounced, in a suit, trying to advise me. My mother came too, carrying lunch like we were close again. "This is my workplace," I said. "You don't walk into an operating room during surgery. Don't walk into my company during my workday." They didn't like it, but they heard it. I told them we could rebuild, but only with boundaries and therapy, not a victory lap. My dad never turned soft, but he admitted his definition of success left no room for me. That was the real twist. The dropout they mocked didn't need their approval. I just needed them to stop making love conditional.